Hello, get the gloss. Hanna Alderson here, registered nutritionist and founder of the positive method, the wellness approach to weight loss. The perimenopause and menopause comes with a lot of symptoms, but particularly frustrating one for a lot of women is that holding on to weight around the middle. Now let's get things straight. It's very normal for all women to change throughout their lives when it comes to body shape. We have hormones involved, we potentially have babies involved, and it is very normal. But for some who find it very frustrating, I plead that you do not try to restrict yourself with calories or do any high endurance training to try and reduce that weight around the middle. If you would like to, please look at focusing on your wellness and not your weight. And not only will we see a reduction in weight around the middle, we may see a really positive effect on your other menopausal symptoms. So what's involved in this mechanism? We see progesterone and estrogen really plummeting when it comes to the menopause. And both of these hormones have a big effect on our energy consumption. So progesterone, which is involved in the luteal phase, so after ovulation, it raises our body temperature, which takes energy. And if we don't have progesterone doing that, we're not using so much energy. Estrogen is also really involved with energy consumption. So the less we have these two hormones, the less energy we are using just sitting around being there, which means we kind of need less fuel to do the same job. And also estrogen also plays a part in where we store our fat. So estrogen tells our body to store our fat in the booty, and when that's not there, we end up storing it around the middle, and that can be really frustrating for women. But the one thing I want to really make sure we're not thinking about is it's not about conforming to be a certain body type that you aren't, but I understand that it's all about feeling comfortable in your own skin. So if you are looking to try reducing that weight around the middle, let's take a completely wellness approach to it. And not only are you going to be benefiting yourself, you're going to be benefiting your wellness and your health, and potentially improving other menopausal symptoms like energy and mood and things like that. So a big player in this weight round the middle, which is heavily involved and affected by the menopause, is insulin resistance. So this is the mechanism that we use to try and get glucose out of the blood. So when we eat food, when we eat glucose, so that's sugar or carbohydrates which get broken down into glucose, we don't want it hanging around the blood. We don't want too much there. It's very sticky and it can send off lots of dangerous pathways. So insulin comes along, which is a hormone, and it takes the glucose out and it puts it into the cells. If we have too much glucose in the system, we fill up the muscles with energy, the glucose sitting there, and then we store the rest as fat. Now, if we keep on going on this roller coaster, with something we call the blood sugar roller coaster, over and over again, after a while we get resistant to the insulin. So our cells need more insulin to get the same job done. So as we enter into those older years, we've been on that roller coaster a few times, and what we can see is insulin resistance playing a part. And it's not only involved with holding on to excess weight and storing excess fat, it's heavily involved with endocrine disorders. It can also lead to something called type 2 diabetes, metabolic disease, heart disease, stroke. So this is not just about weight at all. This is entirely about our wellness, and it's really interlinked with the menopause. So working on your insulin resistance by improving insulin sensitivity is going to put you in great stead. So how do we do that? There are 3 tips I'm going to tell you today. So number 1 is looking at your actual diet. So am I having some carbohydrates on their own? Am I having lots of refined sugar? What you need to ask yourself is, where's the protein? Where's the fat? So if you pair your carbohydrates with protein and fat, we slow the digestion process, so less glucose gets absorbed into the blood. So instead of having just a piece of sourdough with some jam, having a poached egg and avocado are protein and fat, we're going to have a different blood glucose response. So trying to fuel up on carbohydrates found in sort of starchy veg and beans and legumes, and avoiding those refined simple carbohydrates and reducing those. So that's a really great place to start with your diet. Also, looking at magnesium. Magnesium is heavily interlinked with your insulin, and we know that those who are deficient in magnesium are more at risk to insulin resistance. And by having more magnesium, you might also be supporting those other symptoms with the menopause, like mood and energy. So looking at green leafy veg, having lots of those, and thinking about Epsom salt baths. So Epsom salt baths it's like pure magnesium that you topically take in, and it also might aid with your sleep, which can be affected by menopause. So I often say to clients, 3 Epsom salt baths a week with a whole mug full of Epsom salts will be a lovely place to start, and can also support insulin sensitivity and those other symptoms. And finally, if you're looking at moving more, which is very important, avoid high endurance, so anything over 60 minutes. Look at strength training, also really good for your bone density, which we need to support as we go into the menopause. But strength training and resistance training can also support and improve insulin sensitivity. So those are my tips. Look at styling your starches by making sure fat and protein are present. Look at including lots more magnesium in your diet. You could also look at supplementing or having Epsom salt baths. And finally, look at strength training exercise to get you moving, supporting bone density, and improve your insulin sensitivity that way. Thanks so much for having me get the gloss. You can check out more at Hanna Alderson Nutrition on Instagram. Have a beautiful day, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.